I just got the Sony A7S III in the mail. I'm really excited to use it. In fact, this is the first time shooting any video with it. Now, I did spend about an hour last night kind of setting up the menu system and choosing settings, and we'll talk about those settings and why I chose those in a bit. But we're going to test the low light. It's 5 a.m. right now. We're going to head to the beach. I want to shoot a time lapse. We're going to be testing this camera today for the first time. I think it's important to note that I will be shooting everything in S-Log 3. I've never shot S-Log 3 before because S-Log 3 on the A7 III was absolute garbage. So I shot specifically in hybrid log gamma 3. So I'm actually excited to use S-Log 3 for the first time, an actual log profile. So we'll be testing all that stuff today. I'm also really excited to go out and shoot because it's been super gloomy in Southern California because of all the fires. It's been extremely hot. It's been triple digits for the longest time. But if you came here to see this video, if you clicked on this video, you didn't come here to see me gripe about why I haven't been shooting. You came here to see this camera. So let's get outside. Luck should have it, my Rode microphone, the battery died. User error, forgot to charge it before I left, so I did some talking at the beach, and well, it's unusable because you can't hear it. And even now, I'm checking in on the internal microphone of the Sony A7S III, so hopefully you can even hear me in the car. If not, regardless, we're gonna head back home. I'll fill you in the studio, and then there's a good chance we're going out for sunset because I did not shoot a time lapse because conditions were absolutely shit this morning. I'm not even sure I got usable footage, but it was fun to come out nonetheless. It's the first non-smoky, gloomy day in a long time, so it feels good to be behind the camera. It feels good to be at the beach. It feels good to be outside. Everything feels good. Hopefully I got some footage. It's been such a long time since I shot S-Log 3. I hope I got the exposure right. We did some extreme ISO exposure testing. We did some at 25,600. I even did some at 128,000, just some very extreme stuff. So let's head back home and take a look at the footage. Before I get started, let me address the elephant in the obvious white room. My wife and I just moved into a new apartment, and I haven't had time to set up my studio yet, so we're still working on that. This is gonna have to do for now, so please bear with me. First impressions on this camera, it feels great in the hand. The grip feels much nicer, especially for my giant hands. It feels very similar to the A7R IV, only all the buttons feel different. They feel less cheap. They have more travel, if that makes sense. Now this morning we tested the camera in 4K 60 and 4K 120 in some pretty high extreme ISO conditions that I don't recommend you normally shoot. Because the goal really is to have the lowest ISO possible so the footage is tack sharp and it just looks great. But I'm curious to see what this footage looks like. I haven't even loaded it into the computer yet to see, but it's just nice to know that I have that capabilities in case I do need to shoot some extreme lighting conditions, especially considering I do quite often shoot astro, so it's nice to be able to catch the behind the scenes footage. Now I will be going out for sunset to try to get some sexy B-roll. because the shooting conditions this morning were absolute garbage. So I hope to redeem myself and not have to shoot in such extreme ISO conditions. Now there are multiple 4K shooting options with the S3. There's 4K SH, 4K S, and 4K I for intra, which is supposed to be the easiest to edit. 4K SH is the long GOP format, which is more compressed, which means smaller file size. But with that, it's actually harder for your computer to edit. Now I don't understand the science behind that fully, so between the three 4K shooting options, I chose 4K-S. It's supposed to be easier to edit, but not as compressed, which means the file sizes are going to be a little bit bigger. And that may very well change. As I stated, I don't understand the kind of codecs that go on inside the camera, so shooting with 4K-S now may bite me in the ass in the near future. Who knows? We'll find out as soon as I load it in the computer and start to edit it. I know I said I was going to go to the beach to shoot Shawshank Redemption. Sean Connery. I know I was going to... I know I said I was going to go to the beach and shoot sunset, but as I look outside, there's a nasty haze from the fires. It's 100 degrees, and there's no clouds. It's about as shit condition as there was this morning shooting sunrise. Nonetheless, I learned a lot. I'm starting to comb through the footage now, and I realized some exposure mistakes I made, some things I can clean up. But more importantly, earlier I said that XAVC SH was long GOP. It's actually the mode that I chose, which is XAVC S. Which kind of makes sense why my computer is taking about 4 hours to render a video in Final Cut. So I'm shooting this in a different 4K mode. Hopefully this makes a difference. The one thing I like about this camera is it does shoot all intro, which is pretty rad, which is supposed to be super easy to edit. The only downside is it does not shoot 4K 120. Now I don't plan to record literally everything in 120, but it's nice to be able to shoot that, and I don't want to have to flip back and forth between settings. So at this point, it's all trial and error and learning. But with that being said, I'm going to get back to editing this video, and I'll see you in the next one.